What if ancient wisdom held the key to unlocking your absolute best self right here, right now? It sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it?
It's a profound question, and, it absolutely drives our mission here at the Deep Dive.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of incredible sources, the best articles, cutting edge research, insightful notes, and, well, we pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight. Our goal is pretty simple: give you a shortcut to being truly well informed, with some surprising facts, maybe a little humor to keep you hooked. Today, our deep dive is all about helping you understand exactly how to activate your full, heroic potential.
Yeah, we're diving deep into this ancient Greek idea called arete, source material. It's drawn from some really insightful excerpts, and it explores this whole concept through the lens of Brian Johnson's work. It connects philosophy, modern science, and some really practical tools.
Right. So the core question we're really exploring for you today is, what does it truly mean to express the best version of yourself moment to moment? And crucially, how can you actually do that consistently? Let's keel back the layers on this.
That's precisely where arete comes in. Now, it's often translated simply as virtue or maybe excellence, but like you said, its ancient meaning is what's far richer. It really encapsulates this idea of expressing the best version of yourself moment to moment to moment.
I love that moment to moment part. It's not some final destination, right? It's a continuous thing. So how do we know if we're actually doing that? Is there a feeling?
Well, what's really at the heart of arete is what Brian Johnson calls closing the gap. It's the space between who you are capable of being and who you are actually being right now in this moment. And when you successfully narrow that gap, the feeling isn't just like fleeting happiness. It's described as this deep sense of eudaimonic joy, a profound, sustained flourishing that comes from living aligned with your highest potential. It's human excellence, really.
That makes so much sense. Eudaimonic joy. Okay. And this whole approach, this philosophy, it seems fundamentally aimed at unleashing what's called the heroic potential of the individual. But how does one person's heroic potential fit into, like, the bigger picture?
Yeah, that's a great point. If we zoom out a bit, Brian Johnson's work aims to, well, unify the human race, which sounds pretty ambitious, right?
Yeah.
But he believes it's achievable by focusing on what applies to all human beings. He calls these virtues, universal values like love, courage, wisdom, discipline, things that sort of transcend cultures and time. They offer a common ground for us all to flourish.
That's powerful stuff. And it's not just abstract philosophy, is it? I mean, Phil Stutz, a psychiatrist with, 45 years of experience, he describes Brian Johnson as this big dreamer who's also remarkably disciplined and practical in chasing those dreams. Stutz highlights his two main drivers for Johnson, bringing out that heroic individual potential and unifying humanity through these universal values. That blend, that big vision plus practical application, that feels pretty rare.
It really is. It moves beyond just theory into a deep commitment to like actionable wisdom.
Yeah.
Wisdom you can actually use.
There's this great little story about Brian showing his son, Emerson, his arete forearm tattoo. He explained it by holding one hand up high, parallel to the ground, saying, "Emerson, this hand, this represents you being your absolute best self." Then he'd hold his other hand, maybe a foot below that, saying, "And this hand, this is you not being your best self."
Right, right. And then came the key question. He'd ask Emerson, do you see that gap between this line and that line? And when Emerson would nod, Brian would ask, and how do you feel when there's that big of a gap? Emerson would usually say something like, not very good.
Exactly. And Brian would respond, "What if we close the gap between who we are capable of being and who we are actually being?" He'd tell Emerson, "That's how you feel really, really, really good." Well, that simple story, for me, it just perfectly sums up the core mission here. It's about operationalizing this ancient wisdom to truly activate your heroic potential. Not someday, but like in
Yeah.
every single moment.
So, okay, if that's the mission, how do we start? How do we begin operationalizing it in our daily lives? Brian Johnson simplifies the pursuit of a great life into what he calls the big three: optimizing your energy, your work, and your love. And crucially, he says it all starts with energy.
Energy first. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. I mean, if you're running on empty, everything else just feels like pushing a boulder uphill, right? But what exactly does optimizing energy mean, like practically?
Well, our sources really emphasize that your physiology drives far more of your psychology than most people realize. It's huge. Harvard MD psychiatrists, for example, they often talk about the importance of brain hygiene, which really boils down to foundational stuff like prioritizing nutrition, consistent movement, getting enough sleep. Basic, but critical. The science is pretty clear. Energy is the #1 predictor of psychological well-being. Think about that. Your physical state directly, profoundly impacts your mental resilience, your outlook. When you engage in consistent physical activity, your body actually releases what some scientists call hope molecules.
Hope molecules. That's fascinating, seriously. So exercise isn't just for like physical health, it's literally boosting your mood and outlook chemically.
Exactly. It reframes exercise. It's not a chore, it's a direct act of mental well-being. You get an immediate chemical boost to your resilience, your optimism. It's like laying the physiological foundation for arete.
Okay, speaking of boosting mood and outlook, let's talk about gratitude. Here's a truly surprising fact I came across. Simply writing down 5 things you're grateful for just once a week for 10 weeks can actually boost your happiness by 25%. And it has this ripple effect. Grateful people also sleep about 30 minutes more and exercise 30% more. It just compounds.
Which brings up a really critical question. What's the #1 obstacle to feeling that profound gratitude? According to extensive research, like Robert Emmons's work, it's often a deep-seated sense of entitlement. The belief that the world or other people owe you something. So the antidote to entitlement, it's humility. And humility, as many wise thinkers point out, isn't about thinking less of yourself. It's about thinking of yourself less often. Shifting focus from just me, to appreciating the vast tapestry of life as this sacred gift.
Yeah, it reminds me of that ancient Chinese proverb, remember those who dug the wells. Such a powerful call to gratitude, right? To remember those who came before you, who made your life possible, acknowledging the shoulders you stand on.
Absolutely. And another absolutely crucial element for living your best self is hope. Our sources define hope through 3 very practical aspects. First, you need a clear target goal, something specific you're aiming for. Second, pathways thinking, which means not just having one plan, right, but expecting obstacles and actively having a plan B, plan C, and so on. And third, the willpower to actually act on those pathways, to keep moving forward even when it gets tough.
That's a fantastic framework.
Yeah.
Practical. And it connects directly to the WOOP method wish outcome obstacle plan developed by the researcher Gabriel Oettingen. It's all about visualizing your wish, really feeling the benefits of achieving it, then honestly identifying the internal or external obstacles that will inevitably come up, and finally making a concrete plan to overcome them. It grounds your hope in, like, reality.
Yeah. And the power of hope is just. It's starkly illustrated by that Richter's rat experiment. You're familiar with that? Rats that had been saved from drowning, even briefly, just once, were able to swim for an astonishing 60 hours. Compare that to just 15 minutes for those who hadn't been saved before. The only difference, that brief moment of rescue instilled hope. It really makes you reflect. How's your hope? Do you have that clear target, those pathways? The willpower to keep swimming when the current gets strong.
Wow, 60 hours versus 15 minutes. That's incredible. A truly powerful image. Now let's talk about a core rule for activating your heroic potential. One that might seem a bit counterintuitive at first. Rule #1. It's supposed to be challenging. Challenges aren't problems to be avoided. They are, as our sources so aptly put it, the weights in your heroic soul gym. You wouldn't expect to get physically stronger without lifting weights, right? Well, life's no different.
Exactly. And this leads directly to part 2 of that rule, exoneration.
Yeah.
Don't beat yourself up for having challenges. They're inevitable. They're part of the human condition. It's about accepting reality exactly as it is, rather than wasting energy wishing it were different. Shame, for instance, it has absolutely no place in this journey of growth. Challenges aren't a sign you failed. They're an invitation to grow stronger.
Right, exonerate yourself. I like that. And that idea of challenges making you stronger brings us to Nassim Taleb's brilliant concept of antifragility.
Yes, antifragility. It means that obstacles don't just leave you intact, they actually make you stronger. Taleb famously uses the metaphor of the wind. It extinguishes a candle but fuels a fire. The profound question here for you is, when those inevitable winds of life hit, do you flicker and go out, or do you roar brighter? Become the fire.
That's why a powerful mantra isn't just OM, it's OMMS. Obstacles make me stronger. It's a mindset shift, isn't it? It allows you to face adversity head on, not with dread, but with this fierce determination to come out better on the other side. You don't have to chant it out loud, maybe just let that idea sink in. OMMS.
And that fierce determination, it directly cultivates confidence. The word confidence itself, if you look at the etymology, comes from the Latin con and fidere, literally meaning with intense trust.
That's spot on. But it's not intense trust that everything will go perfectly because, let's be real, life doesn't work that way. It's an intense trust in yourself. Trust that you'll do what needs to get done, whether you feel like it or not at that moment. This is basically self-efficacy, right? A concept studied extensively by psychologist Albert Bandura, and it's built through repeated successful action, especially in the face of difficulty.
And what's crucial to understand here is that genuine growth always happens outside your comfort zone. Always. And by definition, that feels uncomfortable. The key isn't to take some giant leap a mile outside your comfort zone that can be overwhelming. It's about consistently stepping just an inch outside your comfort zone, just a little stretch. Doing this repeatedly physiologically changes you. It literally rewires your brain to sort of invite challenges rather than automatically avoid them.
And when you consistently step into those challenges, even just an inch, you quickly develop a win or learn mindset. Think of Lanny Bassam, the rifle shooter. Won gold after a really disappointing silver in the previous Olympics. He used that loss, that disappointment, to fuel his mental toughness, turning it into a profound learning experience. Or Brian's son Emerson adopting learning wins in chess. Every time he lost, it wasn't a failure. No, it was data, a learning opportunity that directly led to future wins.
Yeah, and this raises a truly profound question, especially for those of us with kids, or really anyone focused on self-development. What's more important in the end? What you accomplish, the external stuff, or who you become through the process? This journey of arete, it's the ultimate game, really. It focuses on deep character development through every single challenge.
That shift in perspective helps you move from being a victim to hero. Victims complain, right? About what's not working, about what's happening to them. It's an external focus. Heroes, on the other hand, they actively create what they want. They take responsibility, they have agency.
And the process of targeted thinking helps you make that shift practically. Step 1, accept reality exactly as it is. No fighting it. Whether it's, chicken poop under your patio, like in the source example, or a flat tire on the way to a big meeting, acknowledge it without judgment if possible. Step 2, ask, what do I want? Take just 3 seconds, get crystal clear on your desired outcome in this situation. Step 3, ask, what can I do right now? Again, just 3 seconds. Identify one immediate, actionable step. This swift, 3-step process. It moves you from complaining straight into effective action, quickly and powerfully.
I love that practical simplicity. 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 3 seconds. Boom, action. And it ties into that Brian Cain story about champion fighters who would say they loved getting hit in the face.
Yeah.
The harder they were hit, the more they'd smile, almost asking, is that all they've got?
Yeah.
Now, this isn't about masochism, obviously. It's a powerful metaphor for embracing the inevitable punches life throws at you with a fierce smile, knowing that this is precisely what you've trained for. It's an invitation to show your resilience.
Exactly. And this concept is deeply echoed in these timeless metaphors we hear. No pressure, no diamonds. Pressure isn't the enemy. It's essential for creating something valuable. Or no irritants, no churls. Remember, pearls are formed around an irritant inside an oyster. That problem creates the beauty. And even sandpaper grit, the friction, is what shapes and refines the wood. Challenges, pressure, irritants, they're not just unavoidable. They are absolutely necessary for growth, for refinement, for creating something of true value in your life.
Okay, so we've got the mindset, the understanding that challenges are good, the importance of energy, gratitude, hope. How do we operationalize all this profound wisdom into our daily lives, moment to moment? The next objective seems to be making today a masterpiece, truly seizing the day. And the phrase carpe diem, I learned, actually means pluck the day, not just seize it, like picking a ripe fruit. It's about actively pulling the essence, the juice from every moment.
Right. If we dig a little deeper, Dan Millman, author of Way of the Peaceful Warrior, he says something profound. There are no enlightened beings. There are only more or less enlightened moments. So it's not even about seizing the entire day, which can feel huge and overwhelming sometimes. It's more about carpe punctum, seizing the moment, right now. It brings the focus down to the present, which is where your true power actually lies.
Carpe punctum. I like that. Okay. And you have the most control over the beginning and the end of your day, right? Our sources suggest that getting your AM and PM bookends right means you're already 80% of the way there to having a masterpiece day. These are the moments you can really intentionally design.
And to help with that consistency, that daily design, we can look to Atul Gawande's book, The Checklist Manifesto. He powerfully demonstrates the astonishing power of simple, precise, practical checklists. I mean, in surgery, they reduce fatality rates by 7%, just with a checklist. And they can be just as effectively applied to your daily life to ensure consistency in all your foundational behaviors, from your morning routine to your evening wind down. Don't underestimate the simple checklist.
Yeah, and what's consistently emphasized across all these insights is this principle of Consistency over intensity.
Yeah.
It's something I learned vividly from, well, some demanding training environments back in the day. They don't want you to go absolutely nuts and burn out on day one. No way. They want you to do what you can consistently day after day after day. The mantra was basically smart max, don't injure yourself, be here tomorrow. It's all about showing up consistently, even if it's imperfectly, especially when it's imperfectly.
Jerry Seinfeld's approach to joke writing is a perfect illustration of this. His rule was, okay to suck, not okay to skip. He put a big red X on his calendar every single day you wrote a joke, no matter how bad it was. He just didn't want to break the chain, break the streak. It's that consistent daily effort, however small it feels, that truly compounds over time into something significant.
It was just like that doubling penny analogy from Darren Hardy, right? A penny doubled daily for just a month reaches over $10 million. Those small, seemingly mundane daily disciplines, the stuff that's easy to do but also easy not to do, compounded over time, that's where the magic happens. James Clear, in Atomic Habits, calls this the plateau of latent potential. You're working hard, showing up, but the visible results are delayed until suddenly they explode. You got to trust the process.
And that trust in the process, that consistency, it fuels speed as a force, as Phil Stutz puts it. This is his first law of action. When you know what needs to get done, DOIT, N, and W. The longer you wait, the more your confidence actually erodes, and the likelihood of you doing it diminishes. It's the law of diminishing intent. The intention you have right now, if you don't act on it quickly, it loses its power. It's about eating death cookies. You're facing those small, uncomfortable micro moments of fear or procrastination head on, knowing they're key to building momentum and self-trust.
Eating death cookies, okay? Micro challenges. So let's talk about a couple of key habit areas then that can help you operationalize this wisdom, starting with the very foundation of your day and night. First, your digital sunset. Our sources strongly recommend turning off all electronics at least an hour before bed, minimum.
Right.
Your brain needs time to go from on to off. It needs a transition to truly wind down for restorative sleep.
Absolutely critical. And then there's optimal breathing. So simple, yet so powerful. 3 simple roles can make a profound difference. Breathe in through your nose, breathe down into your belly, not shallow chest breaths, and exhale slightly longer than your inhale. This simple practice sends signals up your vagus nerve to your brain, effectively flipping the switch from fight or flight to calm, focused energy. It's an incredibly powerful tool for self-regulation you have with you always.
And don't forget naps. Seriously, the science is incredibly clear. Naps are awesome for boosting cognitive function, mood, overall well-being. Even a 6-minute power nap can significantly boost your brain power. It's worth noting, apparently, that humans are actually one of the only animals that tries to get all its sleep in one single continuous cycle. Maybe we're not designed for that.
Interesting point. And in terms of maintaining all this consistency, Tony Horton, the creator of P90X, he talks about the 3 voices in his head on any given day. Devil Tony, Angel Tony, and Consistent Tony. Successful people, he observes, they consistently listen to the voice of consistency. It's that persistent, steady voice, the one that keeps you showing up, taking those small right actions day in, day out, even when, especially when you don't feel like it.
That's the voice to tune into. Consistent Tony. Ultimately, this entire journey of arete, it brings us back to that powerful metaphor often attributed to Michelangelo. Legend has it that when he approached a block of marble, he could already see the finished statue within it. David was already there. His job then, as he saw it, was simply to chip away at everything that wasn't the statue. Chip away the excess.
And that really for you is your job too. You are a walking statue of your own making. Your life's purpose, in a sense, is to chip away at what's in the way. The limiting beliefs, the inconsistent habits, those moments of entitlement or victimhood. Chip it all away to reveal the masterpiece, your best self that's already within you.
So we've covered a lot. We've explored arete, this incredible journey of becoming your best self moment to moment. We've seen how integrating foundational virtues like gratitude, hope, and zest, embracing challenges with that anti-fragile mindset, and building consistent daily habits are all absolutely essential. Remember the transformative power of those small daily disciplines and the exponential gains you get by consistently showing up, even when it's just that inch outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, this deep dive has hopefully presented a clear pathway, or at least some strong ideas, for unlocking your own heroic potential. The ultimate question isn't about achieving some state of perfection, because that's not really the goal. It's about cultivating commitment and taking deliberate action, right here, right now in this moment.
So as you go about your day today, maybe tonight, I invite you to think about your future self. Imagine the most optimized, heroic version of you 5 years from now. Really picture it. Living in integrity with your deepest values, flourishing in every area of your life. Ask yourself, what one thing does that future heroic version of you want this version of you to know and do today? Right
Wow.
now. Pay attention to that inner wisdom. That answer might be the key to closing your gap.